Alright guys, welcome to my best game ever. Um, this Ohio game happened a while ago, but I downloaded the replay off of a replay site I uploaded it to. And I wanted to show you it first in regards to Ohio, just to show you the devastating power this ship really has. This game is, well, spoiler alert, it's 409,000 damage, basically 410,000 damage. This ship is nuts. Probably the best secondary ship in the game, probably. This is an old patch though, so this is before the IFHE rework, and because of that, I was actually running IFHE on this ship, just to get those secondaries over 27 millimeters of pen. So I was penning Des Moines and Hindenburg's bow, stuff like that. I was penning a lot of ships that you no longer can, because the secondaries only get to 26 millimeters of pen now with IFHE. So keep in mind about that. So that's why you'll see some of the Des Moines later in this video just get melted by my secondaries, and you can't do that anymore. But the strengths of this ship really are these secondaries. They're even better than Massachusetts and Georgia secondaries, because base, they have better reload and better fire chance, all while keeping the same accuracy, which is nuts. So when you buff these secondaries, I think they get like a 2.3 second reload base if you go full secondary build. Same 11.3 kilometer range, and the fire chance, if you go a full fire chance build, gets up to 12% fire chance, which is a little insane, because you'll see these secondaries deal quite a bit of damage when they hit superstructures, and you can see some of the accuracy here as we're shooting at a Kurfurst with them. They're just really strong secondaries, because of that accuracy and high damage and high fire chance and all that stuff, fast reload. This game, you're seeing me kind of playing around this island here. I'm trying to stop them from pushing through D. It's a really strong position to get in if you can, because you can switch flanks very easily. And that's another thing that's really I'm going to talk about this Ohio, is the turret traverse. The turret traverse on these guns is insane. They're way too fast for how big the guns are. So it allows me to focus here on D a little bit, but also then switch my guns back and focus on like the A cap or B cap, for example, pretty quickly. Yeah, the guns, they're 457 millimeters. You get 8 of them, which means you overmatch 30 millimeters. So any cruiser in the game, pretty much, you're going to overmatch. There's a few exceptions, but they're really powerful guns because they have a fast reload base. They're like 27 seconds, I believe, 27.5 seconds. And they're quite accurate. They're not as accurate as Thunderer guns, let's say, but they're close. They're pretty close. And they can deal a lot of damage. They won't always. Like there, we missed out on the Citadel, but even a few full pens is a lot of damage, considering these guns, their Alpha Strike used to be the biggest in the game before Shikishima, but per shell they do over 15,000 damage when you Citadel, which is kind of nuts. So because of that, I don't even switch to HE for destroyers, because each shell is going to do over 1,500 damage when you overpen. So you hit a couple shells, and that's 4,000 damage really easily. This ship also has a bonus that it gets the Montana hull. It is a copy, pixel for pixel, of the Montana hull, which is one of the best hulls in the game, because the Citadel's low in the water, it's got heavy broadside armor, and you get a 38 millimeter upper belt and deck armor. So you shatter a lot of HE that would normally deal a lot of damage to you, but you get to shatter a lot of it on your armor, which is nice. Yeah, it's a strong hull. and it allows you to maybe not angle quite perfectly and still get all your guns off without taking too much damage. Here you can see the insane accuracy of these secondaries, and well, their reload too. It's kind of crazy, this reload. But it's nice. It allows you to engage multiple targets at once, is what this ship is really strong at. So you see how I focused a little bit here on the C cap, and now they're pushing through D. But because of my positioning, I'm able to switch my guns over and focus really quickly onto their push coming in. And this ship, the guns are really good. That is a nice thing about this ship. I mean, a full health Soyuz just gone there, right? That won't happen all the time. That's, I think, the only time I've ever dev-struck a battleship in this thing, but, or, well, 100% to 0 dev-struck a battleship. But that can happen. The guns are just that good in this thing. They're even good when you don't build for them. That's the crazy thing. Kurfurst guns, even Shikishima guns to a certain extent, all these secondary ships, they tend to not have very accurate or very good guns, especially when you build for secondaries, because that takes away the accuracy of them. But these guns are amazing, even without any upgrades to them. They're just really, really, really strong. As you can see, you can just kind of switch onto that destroyer there and see with your secondaries, and because your secondaries are so accurate, you actually hit destroyers a lot of the time. So, as you can see, we're not angled perfectly against this Republic, but the hull is really tanky. It is really strong. And there you can see Confederate. We do have Halsey on this captain, so from now on we have a 20% reload buff to our main guns and our secondaries. So there we go, Confederate high caliber. All by the 11-minute mark, which is pretty sweet. Like I said, this game's just kind of insane. So this Republic can't really stand up to my ship. My ship's just a stronger ship at close range. Republic just can't deal with it. Des Moines getting in the fight though, so I will move away. And I do have a destroyer to worry about on my flank. So what's nice is you can just select your secondaries on that guy and not worry about him, because these secondaries are just that accurate. And that's really kind of the story of this ship, is you have better guns than the Kurfurst. I'm going to compare it to Kurfurst a lot because they're both secondary boats at tier 10. Your main guns are better across all ranges, I would say, because you get overmatch and they're more accurate. And the turret traverse is better, the firing angles are better. You can see at the back turrets there, they can fire forward at a pretty steep angle. It's around 30 degrees, whereas Kurfurst has 45 degrees. So you got to give a lot of broadside in Kurfurst to get all the guns off. The secondaries are better than Kurfurst secondaries at long range. Pretty standard for the premium American battleships. The secondaries are just better at long range because they come down at a sharper angle and tend to hit the superstructure, which is what they'll pen. And at long range you want accuracy over ability to pen, like the bow of a ship, for example. So that kind of switches around 8 kilometers where the Kurfurst secondaries get better. But most engagements are in that 10 kilometer range when you're brawling. And there you can see over 30,000 damage from 2 citadels is pretty insane. Yeah, this ship is just kind of the best secondary ship at tier 10, I think. It's fun to meme with Shikishima now and Kurfurst and that, but if you really want to build a secondary ship, this is the one for you, because it is, I would say, the tankiest one, because you can angle and get all your guns off. And the other thing that I haven't told you is this ship gets the improved heal that all the secondary or the premium American battleships get at these higher tiers. So your cooldown is actually only 40 seconds on this heal, which is crazy. And it allows you to push and tank a lot more damage than a lot of other battleships would, because they tend to die before they get use of all their heals. Whereas this ship, if you play smart, you can push really hard and still get use out of all your heals. As As you can see here, kind of pushing into 2 Des Moines and a Republic, which is not the best, but like I said, we have overmatch, right? So we can overmatch these cruisers and deal massive damage to them. I'm actually surprised I didn't kill the Des Moines here. But again, we're just going to put our secondaries on this Republic, and you'll see at the end of this game how much damage they do. Unfortunately, you can't go this IFHE build anymore. Not really, you still can, but it's nowhere near as effective since it only pens 26mm instead of 27. That's a pretty big barrier to get over at tier 10 here. So the build I actually run is still a full secondary build with BFT and AFT and manual secondaries, but I actually take Demolition Expert, and that gets your fire chance, like I said, up to 12%. And I've gotten Witherers in this ship without firing any HE from your main guns. So a Witherer from your secondaries only, which is pretty hilarious. And just kind of goes to show how strong this ship is. You really can bully people in this thing. Now that said, you can't just push like an idiot. There's a lot of ships in the game that will just punish you for pushing in, so it does struggle against ships like Conqueror and Thunderer and that kind of thing. And a lot of high DPM HE boats it'll struggle with, but if you can use islands like I did this game to maneuver and get your ship into good positions, you can deal with that. So yeah, here we're coming up to the end of the game, but 367,000 damage already, 3 kills. We got an Arsonist on that Republic, and you notice I didn't use any HE from my main guns on him. So my secondaries did that much fire damage just already to get an Arsonist off of 1 ship. We got 9 fires, and that's with IFHE, so my fire chance is nowhere near what it can be. That's just how many fires these secondaries set. And now here, this is something you couldn't do. You see how I select my secondaries on that Des Moines who's kind of low health, and I just focus on this other Des Moines with my main guns? You can't do that now because you won't pen their armor with your secondaries anymore. The reason this is so effective is all those target hits you're seeing, pretty much all of them are full pens and dealing damage. So you'll see here when I turn around that Des Moines is basically dead to my secondaries. You can see the damage ticking up over and over and over again. This was a crazy game. Everything just kind of went right here, so don't expect all of your all of your Ohio games to be like this. Mine certainly aren't, but it can happen. It definitely can happen. Yeah, so we pretty much got every medal we possibly could this game, I think. Yeah, and games like this are rare, but they can happen when your team and the enemy team aren't very good. To get a game like this, you really need your team to not be great so that they don't kill people before you can get your damage out. And you need the enemy team to not be very good so that you can get your damage on them. It's kind of a weird, perfect scenario is what I got here. But yeah, I think that this ship is really strong, and you can kind of see the turret angles you can get here. Again, it's just a great ship. Probably too strong compared to its counterparts, like Montana and that. There you go, 409k, all of those medals, 5 kills, top of the team by a lot. You see like 2,000 base XP, and there you go, 80,000 secondary damage with another 40,000 in fires with IFHE. Pretty crazy game there. That's the best game I've ever had, my highest damage. And now this game was a game I had the other day and made me kind of think, I should put out a video on this ship because I haven't yet. And it's one of my favorites. So in this game, I am running that build. I'll put it up on the screen here now. I'm running BFT, AFT to get the secondaries, faster reloading, longer range, manual secondaries to give them the good accuracy. And then that Demo Expert. And that Demolition Expert really, really comes in clutch. In giving you that crazy fire chance. And you'll see in this game, I just light fires on ships. I think on a Montana later in the game, I end up lighting 3 fires on him after he damage controls. It's crazy. So yeah, This one was a lot of fun, just pushing. In this one I have a div mate with Dort, and so both of us like to push in with our battleships, so in supporting each other, it makes some of these plays work. You can't really do this on your own, some of these plays, but it's always satisfying when you can potentially get that to happen. As you can see, like, they're pretty accurate. Unfortunately, the secondaries usually land a little bit too far back on destroyers, and that's why at longer ranges I might not put my secondaries on it if there's a better target, but still just good practice to put your secondaries on a DD. Even a couple hundred damage on a destroyer can mean the win potentially. Destroyers are just that powerful. The ship can be citadeled. You do have to watch out for that. You don't want to be flat broadside, but again, I don't really like this game design, but the citadel's below water, and so you can get away with going broadside, especially at close range, but I wouldn't recommend it. In this game, unfortunately, in most games, this is what happens. You push up on a flank, and the enemy team just decides to run. Right? We can see all their ships on their team, I think, at this point, are all pointed towards the A-line on the minimap there, you can see, which is a little disheartening. It is a game about, like, fiction. It's a game about warships, and people are running away. So it doesn't really make sense to me why people play like this. It doesn't seem like it's that fun to do. But, I can't control other people, which is a little too bad, because this game would be more fun if everybody just pushed in and had a good time. So yeah, my div mate there, Dort, he's pushing out and going to tank a lot of damage, but Kremlin's pretty tanky when angled, so I think he'll be fine. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create a different angle. If I push out there with him, they can just all angle to us and spam HE at us, but I want to create a different angle for them to have to deal with. So I'm just going to push into the cap, and that also takes their attention too, because I want to take their attention, because my teammate's losing health and he's spending his damage controls, he's spending his heals, so I want to take some pressure off so that he can have some time to have his consumables come back, and then he can come up and push with me. And it actually works pretty well. Sometimes people get a little focused on killing something, and so that's where going into their capture zone, like I'm about to do, forces them to look at me and deal with me. Unfortunately, yeah. This is usually a really fun side of the map to fight on, but nobody pushed up. Usually people push up on this side, and this is the fun side of the map, but it didn't happen. Unfortunately, a lot of maps are like this, or even worse. They're just designed for people to sit at the back of the map and spam HE at you. So pushing in is hard, but the heals on this ship really help you to mitigate a lot of that fire damage, since it's all 100% healable. Having these, you effectively get to use double the heals that another ship would, because your heal cooldown timer is half. Here you can see, you're going to see how tanky this ship is when it's angled. It does not take much damage when it's angled. Even from HE, you shatter a lot, stuff hits your guns, you can survive pretty well. We're trying to kill the destroyer because that's what's holding up our push on the other side of the island here. And you can see I didn't push into the cap and immediately turn out, because I could have just turned out and not applied much pressure here, but I'm applying a lot of pressure to their team. And the reason I feel okay about doing this is because of the island right in front of me. It allows me to push up and get some cover from all those ships back in their spawn, and it allows me to deal directly with this Montana, which is not a fair fight at close range. We have the same hull. His heal heals for more, my heal comes up more often, so it can be a bit of a wash, but in a brawl I'd say my heal's stronger. But really what pushes it over the edge is the secondaries. It's kind of insane how much damage you can get out of your secondaries. Which is nice in a brawl. It's hard to get into these positions. You see how much potential damage I have and health I've lost just to get here. Carrier striking me. The A is okay, but I mean, no A is good, right? Let's be honest. But yeah, we're just gonna back up around this island, trying to get cover from that buffalo. That's really the biggest thing that's gonna deal damage to me. And this game has a Cyclone, which is rare these days, unfortunately. I wish more games had Cyclones, because it creates more interesting gameplay. It forces people at the back of the map, like in this game, to push in. It forces gameplay. It forces fun gameplay. And so that's why I love Cyclones. So it protects you from the long-range spammer from the back of the map, and it lets you push in. There you can see we already got a fire on him. I mean, 124 hits already on that Montana. It's pretty funny how accurate these shells are. And they won't all pen, but I mean, some of them will go up into the superstructure and deal damage. Yeah, right now I'm just kind of waiting for my team to push up around me, and because of the Cyclone, I can actually get away pretty easily. And I'm gonna start pushing because I want to engage one target at a time, and the Cyclone allows you to do that because at 8 kilometers you disappear. So I can actually push up and kind of almost 1v1 this Montana, even though I'll be in the open water. Something I do want to point out is your airplane. If your airplane can spot someone outside of 8 kilometers, you actually will see them. So this 8 kilometer hard limit isn't actually a hard limit to what you can see. It just reduces your ship's spotting range. But if your plane is spotting someone at 9 kilometers, you'll see them as clear as day, and you can lock onto them and deal damage. This is something I didn't know for the longest time, and actually got caught out by it and killed. And I was really surprised how the enemy ship got such good accuracy on me. And then I went back and looked at it, and sure enough, I was locked onto, and I was spotted at 9.5 kilometers in a Cyclone. And so if your plane is doing that spotting, and you'll see this in a second, we'll be able to shoot at a Kurfurst. Well, he's behind an island, unfortunately, so I can't shoot at him. But I'll be spotting a Kurfurst, and I'll be able to see him and lock onto him for just a split second. And he'll be at over 8 kilometers. I think it's 8.5 or 9 kilometers. And it's not a bug. This is part of the game design. It feels a bit like a bug because it's weird that a plane would spot farther than your ship would in a storm. But yeah, it's in the game, so it's good to know about and maybe even take advantage of at some points. So here, I mean, I'm kind of pushing into a crossfire, honestly, which is not the best, but this will just show you how tanky this ship is at close range. This is not the time when we're spotting the Kurfurst, by the way. It'll be in a little bit. But we'll put our secondaries on the Gascon and shoot at the low health target. Pretty standard battleship stuff. And there you go, fire instantly on the Gascon. It's pretty hilarious, this ship. And as you can see, my divmate's already up here beside me again. That tends to not happen in random battles unless you have a good divmate with you. Here I'm angling, giving probably too much broadside to the Montana because the Massachusetts shows up. And he's on half health. He's about to take a torpedo, but these guns can just hurt at any angle, really. He turns and gives us broadside, but and again, no Citadel, just because the ships are designed these days to not take Citadels when they turn out broadside. It's really too bad. I wish the game was designed a little bit better, where you were more vulnerable when broadside. Because I really should have taken damage from that Massachusetts or the Montana earlier. But I really took kind of negligible damage. And this is why, one of the reasons the Ohio is just better than a Massachusetts. It's because you can just do that. You can hit 6 out of 8 shells on a bow-in target and just nuke them. Right here is actually where that whole plane thing is, so just keep an eye out for the Kurfurst on the minimap. We can't see him right now. Right, we actually can't see anybody right now. So I'm about to pop my plane to try and spot this Gascon to see where he's going so that my divmate and I can push. So my divmate's close enough that he's spotting both of those ships, the Kurfurst and the Montana, off to my right. We can see the Montana. He's at 7.5-ish or 7.9 kilometers. I pop my plane, and the Kurfurst is up. Just give it a second. There he is. And see, he's at 8.6, I think, or it's a little small on my screen, but you could see that for a split second when my plane was up, he was spotted outside of 8 kilometers, despite there being a cyclone going on. So that is a part of the game and something I think you should know about, just as a little thing thrown in here. Yeah, this ship's fun. This ship is just fun. You see I'm out of heals, so I think Superintendent is a good argument to be had here, just because you can get through all of your heals. I just like going for these kind of meme trolley builds that really, really focus your secondaries above anything. And there you go, another fire right away on the Montana, you know? It's pretty funny how fast you get secondary damage and fire damage in this thing. I haven't been able to shoot my secondaries all game, really. Only a few times, and we're already at, 300 hits on the top, plus another 50 on our little counter on the side of the map. Or just above the map, sorry. And a nice game where we just kind of pushed through their team, and most of their team was here, and we could still push through them. And that's always really satisfying. And you can't really do that solo, but this ship in combination with, well, another Ohio or a Kremlin, even a Kurfurst, can really pull off some really crazy pushes like that. I would recommend this ship. It's really expensive to get the research points, but if you have enough for it, I would recommend it. Now, the Slava just came out, so I'm not sure. I haven't played that ship yet, but it's probably you'd get the Slava first because it's just so insane, is what it looks like. But I'll let you know when I get that ship. 190,000 damage game. Pretty solid. Nice little bit of team play, and you'll see in the secondary damage column how much we did. 60k and another 41k, and that's without IFHE and running a fire build. So it's a good ship. It's a lot of fun. But unfortunately, not many people are going to get to play it because it's so hard to get. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.